Hello, my name is Elaine Jenkins, and I want to talk to you today about the American system. And first of all, I want to explain a little bit about myself to explain that first, I love to study history. It's really a love of mine, and so began reading and studying American history, and then I began to learn and understand and discover things that most Americans don't understand or don't realize. And um, I began to learn that there are a lot of things that people don't know about that are not taught in the schools. And then a lot of the things that are taught in the schools are not true or distorted. So I want to go through some of these things. Um, I'm not going to be able to go through them all in one video, but I will go through as much as I can right now. And I want to start out with the quote by quoting the Declaration of Independence, at least part of it. The part that says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Americans don't have a full understanding or appreciation of what these words mean. They hear them all the time. We're taught them in school, but Americans have not gained a proper understanding of what they mean, and which is really sad because this is really part of our American heritage. Um, what people I think it's really important for people to realize that when our founding fathers declared America's independence from the British Empire, what they were doing was they made it clear that what they sought was not independence from the empire, but a break from the principle of empire. They made it clear that their dispute with the crown was much more than a list of grievances, but got to the core of the empire's belief structure that inherent in the nature of man is the universal truth that all men are created equal, thereby giving a death blow to the concept of inherited nobility or the right of money or wealth to rule by virtue of kingly granted privileges. That it is our Creator or the universal process of creation that grants rights to man. No king or ruler can take these rights away. What the Americans were saying was that the principle of empire was against the natural order of the universe, which they called natural law, and which they said was endowed by our Creator, and therefore the principle of empire was an abomination to the world and had no right to exist among civilized men. Excuse me. America was created on the basis of universal principles, not on democracy, as many Americans have been misled to believe. America was created on the basis of universal principles that asserts both freedom from and the superiority over the principle of empire. The American system was radical at the time. It was the only nation in the world that was created on universal principles for the good of the people. As such, it established a culture of optimism. Under the British rule, the people were subjects, and they were responsible to serve the king. Under American government, the people were citizens, and the people in government were required to serve the people. So it was just the opposite of what the British Empire represented. The American system was founded on Christian principles, um, that was a complete opposite of the British system. And it was founded, um, its most important principle that it was founded upon was the principle of the general welfare of the people. And it was the responsibility of the government to promote the general welfare of its citizens and to elevate the conditions of man. And under let's see, under the British system, um, the people were to, as I mentioned, to serve the royal family, and they were not, um, their needs were not taken into account. They were not, promoted to develop their abilities. Um, the American system was totally opposite of the British system. Um, another um, Another misconception that a lot of people have is that people think that the American system was established to defend the rights of the minority. That was, that was a major focus. And I used to believe this too until I studied American history a lot more closely, and um, and that's when I began to look at what we broke free from. Look at it this way: we broke free from a system whereby the rights of the majority were not being protected. It was the minority, the ruling family, the royal ruling family, who had all the rights, and the majority had no rights. So the American founding fathers' main concern was um, equally that equality, that there would be an equal distribution of the law, and that it wouldn't be decided by a ruling king. And they didn't want the rule of law to be arbitrary, which is what the case was in the British Empire. It was based on the whims of the king. And they wanted equal protection under the law. They wanted that the nation as a whole they wanted the nation as a whole to have be protected. They didn't want something to be allowed that would jeopardize the um, the security of the nation as a whole too, and that's why they wrote the general welfare clause in there. Um, People today, Americans today, are susceptible to ideas that are not true, such as the idea that the main focus of the American system is to protect the rights of the minority, and which is not the case. It's just equal protection under the law, that everybody would have equal rights. Equality was the basic, fundamental principle that the founding fathers were concerned about. Think about it for a minute. I have seen videos on YouTube where proponents of Wall Street promote the idea that the American system was established to protect the rights of the minority. They promote that because they know that, it seems like they know that a lot of Americans already believe that, and so they really play on that idea. And what they're really advocating is, they're promoting the idea that the American system was set up to protect their rights because they're the minority. So the 1% on Wall Street their rationale is that their rights are supposed to be protected. That they're supposed to have the main concern of protection. Which I have seen videos like this on YouTube, and this is totally contrary to what the American founding fathers were concerned about. And so I thought that was really an important principle to talk about. Hopefully, not a lot of people are misled by their arguments, their unfounded arguments on that. And so I would like to continue talking about Locke, because this idea of that the British Empire has, that we broke free from, that certain people have the right to rule, whereas other people don't have, they don't, their rights are supposed to be limited, or they're not entitled to rights. This is based on the ideology of Locke, which most people in America have been led to believe that the American system was founded on his ideas. His and Aristotle, and which nothing could be farther from the truth. Locke promoted the idea that slavery was appropriate for some people whom he considered to be inferior. He said that society was, people in society were trapped in fixed categories, such as aristocrat or servant. Locke's idea is that the common man is no more than a beast. This idea was inherent in his system and is the basis for the modern hedonistic view that exists in American culture. You see this idea being taught in the schools, even, that man is really the same as a beast. And this idea is being promoted in the schools, and so some of the same values, the same ideas that we fought our Revolutionary War to break free from are being reintroduced into our culture today, and people are not aware of it. It's been a slow process, and so if it was more abrupt, I think people would be a little bit more aware of it. That people are being submerged into this culture of thinking that has been a gradual thing, and it has been overwhelming. It's been promoted in the schools, in the media, and just everywhere. So the American people their thinking has been manipulated to where they don't understand what their Constitution is about. They think that Locke was a good guy and that Aristotle was a good guy, and Aristotle and Locke both promoted basically the same kind of ideas. Aristotle said that, let me quote what he said. He said, "Where there is such a difference as that between soul and body, or between men and animals." Well, I'll just paraphrase what he says. What he is justifying slavery, because he claimed that the black people were better fitted physically for hard labor, and because their bodies were more constituted better for it, and that they didn't have the capacity, the mental capacity to be able to rule, and so they were more fitted to be a slave. some people are more fitted to be slaves, and some people are more fitted to be rulers. And that was basically his idea too. And so these ideas are where we get the British system of um, the idea that certain people have the right to rule, to be superior over certain other people. Now, slavery is the same kind of idea, where but it's based more on race. Excuse me. But it's the idea that one race is superior over another, which is basically the same system. And so that's where it's coming from, is from Aristotle and Locke. There's others later that continued to promote this idea throughout time, and I'll talk about these things later. And we'll talk more about these things in upcoming videos.